All right, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed an Idea Hub session so far. But before we go, get off and have our own lunch, let's discuss this growing service solution with our moderator, Andrew Sachs, Chief Product Officer from TraderEvolution Global, who will take us into a deep discussions of the latest key essentials for brokers and white label solution providers. In this session, creating your brokerage canvas with white label solution. If you are ready, please give them a warm welcome.
Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us at this very interesting panel at the Idea Hub at IFX Expo. I'm joined today by Aliaksei Melets, who is responsible for partner acquisition at Quadcode, and I'm also joined by Luka Knezic, who is co-founder at TradeLocker. So we're going to have a discussion. I'm Andrew Sachs, I'm from TraderEvolution, I'm Chief Product Officer at the company, responsible for the relationship between broker clients, banks, exchanges and so forth, and liquidity providers with regard to the interaction between them and our technology, which is a back-end first trading platform for multi-asset trading. And we're going to be talking about how to create and scale your brokerage with using white label solutions. So I think we've had quite a lot of discussions within ourselves, in this particular technology sector of the electronic trading industry over the last few years, about whether it's important to build your own trading platform, which is a very, very, very resource-hungry endeavor. You can see now some brokerages starting to build their own front-end platform, which is still an endeavor, but it's not as difficult as going the whole way and building an end-to-end solution from back to front. From the entire trading engine right the way to the front end is a real endeavor, and we'll go into that a bit further later. But you can also take an off-the-shelf solution. So we're going to look at what is the best way to do that in terms of the outcome at the end that you get, the scalability of your brokerage, the ability to customize and to move with certain trends without having to have an upheaval and start to look for another solution, or to go the other way and to build your, what's the best way to do it? To build your own, or to take a solution that's ready-made, or to take a complete off-the-shelf solution and then have to which is a quick entry, but you have to maybe readdress that as your brokerage gets bigger. So that's what we're here to discuss today.
All right, how many of you want to build a broker? Can you raise your hand? How many of you are here to listen about it, at least? Okay, so more than half, let's say. And how many want to build a prop firm, for example? Raise your hand. Nobody. Okay, so all the brokers. Okay, so the reason why I'm asking is so that I know what to talk about more and where to put the focus in. Yeah, I get started with, I'm a big fan of rent first and then build your own. So usually, and that's just the rule, it's not the same in all the businesses, but you're solving the first problem first, which is generating revenue. And in the beginning, you want to do it as fast as possible, prove that people like what you're doing, you need to generate revenue. So you find a solution, you rent it, and then if it makes sense, build it on your own. Because for me, if you don't have a lot of time, if you don't have a lot of resources, it doesn't make sense to build everything until you know you're actually going to earn money.
Absolutely. Even for large companies, we see the display of hands about companies who want to build their own brokerages. Maybe there definitely are some executives here from brokerages which have already reached a certain level of maturity and are ready to reinvest some of that capital into securing their future and making them a bit more in control of their business decisions. So, and the direction of being a stable foundation for having a direction where you can scale how you wish. So in that particular case, there are even large companies which are very well backed, which have the resources to build their own platform. But I know of certain companies, there's a particular company in Australia, Chinese-owned company in Australia, who recently, it's a very well-known company in the industry, recently told me that they had spent 7 years and had 100 developers on site developing their own back end. It's not released yet. That's, if you think about it, running into the tens of millions of dollars just to get that far, and still not up yet. So you need a company in that position is having to run its existing infrastructure, all the while which is becoming more and more obsolete, whilst spending that amount of capital building a back-end first platform of their own. And by the time 7 years goes by, it's like the Forth Road Bridge in Scotland, where you have finished painting it, then you've got to go back to the beginning and start painting it again because the paint's got faded on the first part. You have to keep, so it's a big resource-hungry endeavor that doesn't finish when the platform is launched. CMC Markets, famously in 2017, which is some years ago now, finished completing their next generation trading platform, which cost them £100 million. And that was built on top of the previous platform. And that was 7-8 years ago. So the support costs have run into 200,000-300,000 a month ever since then. Not all brokerages have the resources to do that, to commit to that and compete with such companies. So as Luka said, maybe it's a good way to, as you say, rent first by leasing a software that is designed to be to hand control to brokerages without the development cost and without the time to market, where the development's been done by a specialist firm. That's possibly, what do you think, Alex?
Yeah, from my perspective, guys here, they're like they have very deep understanding from the product side. When I am thinking when I am saying and thinking loud about white label solutions, for me, it's much more simple from the customer side, from the partnership side. So from my perspective and how I see it and what are the offers on the market, there is the opportunity for a lot of businesses which were not related to Forex, to, I don't know, options, whatever before, to enter this market to, let's say, lower the risks or to try different business by launching some other businesses which they have never think before. And this is the case when you are coming again, as guys said, you don't need to have like deep knowledge or you don't need to invest a lot of money into this. Yeah, at some point you will most probably understand you are ready for this, but from the, let's say, day one, you don't need very deep technical expertise, etc., etc. You don't need to care about sometimes even about liquidity, dealing desk, a lot of things like CRM. So there are some solutions which allow you to enter the market, to feel it, to understand what are you looking for at the end, and then to make like final decision, how do you see, let's say, yourself and your company in like 5, 3, 2 years.
That's what happened with Meta. If you think 20 years ago, that is the kind of how MetaQuotes got into the industry. They took the idea that we can expand the retail trading industry by bringing in companies who'd never worked in the electronic trading business before, give them a ready-made solution to set up, and they can bring their digital marketing expertise or their lead acquisition expertise or affiliate marketing expertise and just become a broker and start up, and you get the turnkey solution and away you go. It's like an affiliate marketing model. That's 20 years ago. Since then, other industries have developed, especially in fintech, not even other unassociated industries, other fintech industries such as the crypto sector or the challenger banks have developed intuitive apps, and they've got their clients used to working with an intuitive app, which is all mobile first, app based, and the younger generations have got used to these now, these intuitive apps. So even if the product isn't so flexible or so comprehensive as it is in the multi-asset electronic trading industry, the app has revolutionized the way people interact with the actual financial technology. So in that case, it's not possible to stay behind and be tied to an inflexible set of applications, which is becoming legacy software, which ties the broker down. They're going to be usurped by companies like Revolut, and these companies like that, and even Binance, companies from the crypto sector at Revolut who've also launched their own trading platform. I think brokerages need to have the ability to try to participate in that environment and be able to be flexible and dynamic and connect any front end and use any asset class without having to reinvent their own back end.
Yeah, we're lucky in TradeLocker that we have hundreds of thousands of traders that they don't just look for TradeLocker, but they also want to create, for example, their own brokerage. And they ask us to introduce them to different partners for questions, how to do that, and try to educate themselves. And I had this conversation today with one of our, let's say, partners that we work with, who operates a bridge, and they are going to educate brokers on what is a bridge, how does it work, how do you manage risk on a broker and things like that, which I think, because the topic is creating your own brokerage, when you're beginning and you're starting out, you don't know a lot of things and you don't even know what you don't know. And I think that's huge, which I don't see with new brokerages. What they don't do is that they think, I need those 5 pieces, that's it. But they don't ask why 5 times and go deep into why is that so? How can it be different? What do other people offer? Why is that even existing? Because if it exists, probably it's important. Why is it important? How can it help me make a better business, earn more money and things like that, which becomes more and more important in the future as you scale, as you build. I see some people who are in the industry that might want to also talk about that and research that. But we were talking about, I think I know who you were talking about with the brokerage who are building brokerages that are building their own platforms.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like real, that number. I think it sounds like very huge to me.
Very high.
But what you were referring to, what was the last thing you said, Aliaksei?
You mean?
Yeah, no, I forgot. I went into the different topic which I wanted to say. But I think if you look at how many crypto exchanges you don't know many. You know, like maybe 5, 10, if you're lucky. If you're in the industry, I'm in the industry for a while. In crypto as well, I know maybe 10 exchanges or trading platforms. But brokerages in Forex, I could probably name 100, and I know there are probably a few thousand. And then when you look at that, focusing on so many things, building all the pieces yourself as a broker, you're not going to be the best. It's very difficult to be the best if you focus on so many pieces. Maybe in the future, maybe in specific section of the market, you could do it, but you need to be really big. You need to have the best experts in the world, because you're not going to be able to notice those details that, for example, someone who's focusing just on one piece can see.
Very true. You're talking about the numbers of brokerages, and they all vary in type. We've seen the world change, not only in terms of the type of asset classes and the way that the new way of accessing the internet has influenced the front-end technology that traders want to use. That means that if you're a brokerage with a legacy platform, you can't adapt. There's another dynamic as well, which is exactly that. Remind me what you say, Luka, about that. Is that in Dubai, which is now a massive center for all types of businesses, I heard from quite reliable source recently that there are 4,000 types of 4,000 electronic brokerage entities just in the business bay or area of Dubai from all over the world. Some of them are one-man band, with nobody really working there. They just got a white label for someone else. Some of them are large companies, and they're international. They're approaching different audiences. So they're all different. Could be a tiny, someone working from home, or it could be a huge company. However, this is just the start of it, and they are approaching a different type of audience to the traditional European-focused or Southeast Asian-focused retail brokerage that we saw during the expansion of the retail era 20 years ago, where it was just CFDs and basic CFD platform. These are companies approaching India, approaching Turkey, approaching the Middle East region, where there's a lot of listed products and a lot of exchange-traded options and things like that, especially multi-assets, especially in India. So the way that the products the platforms offer to be able to be scaled in this new world where the geographic location of center of business is now changed, and the way that clients look for asset classes is different, is now changing. So companies need to be able to accommodate a brokerage. When we're talking about white label solutions, one of those 4,000 brokerages is going to come and say, I can't build my own infrastructure because I'm small, but I need to approach a client base in India who are trading futures on the Sensex exchange, in Indian exchanges, or the Indian rupee futures contract on the Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange. And if you have a CFD-only platform and have no flexibility and can't actually white label anything to them other than what you've already got, there's going to be a sustainability issue in that case.
Yeah, and there are some things, for example, we were discussing again, when there are some, I would not call it problems, but there are some statements. If we're, for example, talking about Indian market, some companies who wants to approach Indian market, they're launching applications, for example. They're publishing on App Store, on Google Play, but the problem of people there, of traders there, of users there, is they are not having like very high-end devices. I mean, smartphones, etc., which they are using for trading and whatsoever. And sometimes it sounds, for some people it doesn't sound realistic, but they have like so limited memory inside the device, so they are thinking twice or three times which applications to download. And if you are not aware about this and you are not offering PWA, so web like application which you can open in your browser, not downloading to your phone, but it looks like native application. So you are losing like huge part of potential customers.
Very important. You're
and this is something you will never know if you go to, okay, in majority of cases you will not be able to know it before you approach this or that market. And there are a lot of examples. And if you are coming to white label solutions, so you are coming to people with expertise. It may be some companies are better here, some companies are better there, but they all have their own expertise, which in some way unique, and it helps you to build from the proper way.
Yes, and there's another issue with that as well, is that I believe we had this conversation before about this, but what it is that yes, you do need a mobile-friendly version of your web app. So it looks like if you have a mobile app, it looks like a mobile app, but is actually not downloaded onto the mobile phone. It's run from the web browser, but it looks like the mobile app. There's two reasons for it. One is exactly as you say, Alexei, that you need to, if you're working in regions where the smartphones are not up to the latest model and the software on them isn't compatible with some of the heavier, or there's enough memory space to download them, that's one issue. It is possible to create a light mobile app, but the other issue, which I think is a little bit more of a problem, and has proven itself to be a problem about 2 years ago, is if you end up in a situation where you are republishing a mobile app from your vendor. If your vendor is the publisher, rather than your brokerage being the publisher, then if App Store or Google Play Store decides to delist that particular application in certain regions, that's your brokerage gone out of the visibility of absolutely everybody. So they're not going to be able to see it. What happens now when you see an advertisement for anything? You go online, you search on the internet, then you look for the App Store. Everything is mobile orientated. Yep. So if you see something, first, you might not see it at all. Visibility is gone. Or if you see an ad and you can't find the App Store, that's it. You disappear. And that's not your fault. That's your vendor, who you're paying money to, has delisted your product and your business off the App Store or the Google Play Store. If you are the publisher, and at the same time you don't build any intellectual property by distributing that application, you're building intellectual property for your vendor. If you are the publisher, if you are using a platform which is either developed by you, a back-end platform, or is a deployable platform that's deployable onto your company's infrastructure, on your brokerage infrastructure, you become the publisher. Your brokerage is the publisher, which means you have total control over who lists that, which mobile store, app store lists it. If it does get delisted, you can liaise with them to fix that issue and so forth, rather than rely on a vendor. Or you also are the publisher, which means you are creating intellectual property value for your company. If you ask a consultancy firm to come in and value your business as a brokerage, the very first things they're going to sell it or to list it, the very first things they're going to look at is how many clients have you got? Okay, are they on your infrastructure or are they on someone else's infrastructure? If they're on someone else's infrastructure, you've got no value. How many mobile users have you got? Okay, got this many. Are you publishing that app directly so they are acquired by your company? So if you sell the company or list it, they are part of that company's infrastructure, or is your vendor the publisher? If your vendor is the publisher, there's no intellectual property value whatsoever. So those are really important matters. Plus, if you have a big vendor which gets its app delisted from the App Store, it will take them quite a long time to get it back on there, because there would be a reason why it was delisted. And the larger the company, the bigger the reason for the delisting, which means you end up getting associated with all the other companies that got delisted. And you're reliant on a big company that maybe either transgressed something, or the rules of the advertising on the internet changed and they had to be delisted until they can get compliant with those rules, and the larger the vendor, the larger the company you're relying on, the longer that legal process will take. If you're the publisher, you can make sure that your legal team gets those things done quickly and you republish. The key message is being in control of your own infrastructure.
Yeah, and I would also add on to when you mentioned IP, and the important thing for you as a business owner, and probably everybody here is a business owner or wants to become one, is your moat. How do you protect your business? What is unique about it? What can nobody else do to compete with you? If you don't have it, then probably you're competing with everybody else in the industry, and you're trying to reduce your prices, and you think that lower prices are helping you compete. But that's basically the race to earning no money. And all of the, let's say you're creating a brokerage, your tech is not the moat. You work with us, with TradeLocker, it will be a moat just because not everybody has it right now, but it's just short-term moat. Eventually, let's say everybody has the same platform, everybody has the same tech. Your moat is not like a few buttons, your moat is something else. You need to figure that out. And instead of focusing on creating something else, because we as TradeLocker are focused solely on creating our moat, the best possible trading platform in the world. And if you're focused on that, plus building the broker, plus building your CRM and the payment system and everything else on your own, like, good luck. I believe you can do it, but it's almost impossible. It's super difficult. You have to be a really good entrepreneur and have a lot of research and time and the best people in the world. But what I'm saying is, like, find that moat, let everybody else, all of your other partners, build their own, but it's very difficult to compete with somebody who already figured it out, did their research and built something amazing using their technology, and competing with them, it's going to be difficult. But you got to find what you're going to focus on, what is your moat. And that's why it makes sense to use white label products, to use other people's technology. You're using something that is scalable already great, and it's getting just better because of the data, because of all the, it's basically like more users, better quality, better experience, and all the biggest companies work like that. Every additional user improves the experience of all the existing users. Every single biggest company has that. How can you achieve that with your broker? And it's not building and competing on all sides. It's something else.
Yes, actually, and I'd like to find your opinion on this, everyone who's here, because that's a really interesting point. Because if you think about it, if you have a system where you are constrained by the software company that you choose to as the main infrastructure of your brokerage decides when they're going to do updates according to their schedule, and you must then fall in line with what they put onto you. If they decide they're going to make a change to the software, then they will send you a note saying that's the changes, and if you don't comply with it, then you will not be able to operate. Or you can be part of the development of a platform. You can choose a brokerage technology provider, a platform provider that makes updates several times per year according to your recommendations. You send in a support ticket, or you send in, we need this function, or why hasn't our platform got this particular function? And then it's really prudent to choose a company that listens to all of those things, then gets its developers to develop that in so that everyone who's using that platform gets that update. So it becomes a user-generated or a customer-generated development process, rather than a vendor dictating to its customers what it must do, and if it doesn't do them, then it will have its, if it doesn't upgrade to the latest version, regardless of whether it wants those features or not, is not able to operate in the way it should. This is actually part and parcel of what you're explaining here. I think that's a really important thing to look at when you're looking at scaling the future scalability of your business. Are you going to have a hand in the development? Are the developers in the platform body going to listen to you and put that into practice, or are you going to be dictated to by a legacy software provider?
Yeah, and also to add on that, and previous things you were saying about the mobile apps, about different jurisdictions and what they require and things like that. A lot of us, even though, for example, I know myself, if I had more time, I could live even more in the present in terms of the technology that is available. Even I cannot keep up. And even if we had...
You live in the future though, Luka, don't you?
I wish. But like, that's what I think everybody here should look forward to. Like, people in India will have a better phone soon.
Yes.
Africa will have better
Yes.
internet connection. And maybe they will skip that phase where they'll just jump to the phase where everybody just has all the tech that they need.
Yeah, and that's where
I
the
don't know.
majority of these people are living. The retail
Yeah.
trading, or the future retail trading, are in those highly rapidly developing regions,
Yeah.
where the whole market is different to what to the traditional CFD market.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm saying that, I think the biggest mistake is to think that things will stay the same. I think
Yeah.
they'll just move even faster
Yes, they will.
than before, and just like keeping up with that, you gotta figure out what's important to you, choose your battles, and then just go create your own thing, create your own mode. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So yeah, we are.
Should we have?
Yeah,
questions?
I would. That's right. I think it's interesting to find out your opinions. If anyone wants to have their say, have your say, or tell us we're right or wrong, or have a question.
No questions. How many of you already have a broker? Or would you recommend something to the audience about that? Okay, a question. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Hello. I just want to know, that is a mic, there you go. I just want to know maybe what's the biggest mistake for someone looking for a broker, what to look out for in terms of obtaining maybe individual license or going through a broker that already has the license to feed off their, let's say, piggyback of their success. What's the biggest mistake that someone can do instead of venturing off to someone else, or, shopping essentially for different CRM systems, licenses, this kind of stuff? And, in terms of the white label, I understand that you receive perhaps maybe the whole package in as a whole. So I just want to know what the biggest mistake as a trader would do.
As a trader, or as a brokerage that wants a white label solution?
As a trader, in this sense, I'd like to understand the trader's, let's say, thought process, more or less.
Trader's thought process of picking a broker or becoming a broker?
Becoming a broker.
Ah, okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, in my opinion, again, I'm sure you can argue with me on it if you like.
Yep.
But in my opinion, it's to check whether that brokerage is. And I'm not talking about the size of the brokerage. It should be obvious to anybody that they should look for a brokerage which is established, regulated in the right places, is not a fly-by-night in some strange jurisdiction, an island that no one's ever heard of. That's obvious, but that's not really the issue here. That's just personal. That's just being a responsible person. But becoming a broker, I'm talking about where you would get your white label solution from. But if you're going to, you should check the provenance of the company. If it's a good quality company in a reasonable jurisdiction, it's been established for a long time, okay, that's the first stage. The second stage, which is even more important, is to make sure that that particular company's infrastructure and liquidity and all isn't locked and tied. So they're not just going to sell you exactly what they've got, which is they are buying off the shelf from another provider. So they're getting a tied-in liquidity, tied-in everything, CFDs only, no multi-asset capability, a front-end first platform which doesn't allow you to adapt it or to have any control over your business. They will white label that to you with all the built-in liquidity and everything, which means you're just getting a mirror image of what they've got. So that means that you will not be able to scale your company either, because they'll be the same front end as everybody else without any possibility of adding other asset classes or choosing to diversify yourself or having a different style of developing your brand and your company image so that it's different to others, or having a mobile app that rivals these new neobanks or anything like that, or operating in a way that, let's say you have some success in a specific region like the United States or something like that. You want to do options of future in the United States, and your vendor tells you, well, our vendor, because we're locked in as well, doesn't let us work there. Our liquidity provider doesn't let you take clients from there. So what you're doing is you're being dictated to by 3 steps back up the chain, and you end up paying a volume fee for this. And the more business you do, the more you'll pay to be restricted by somebody else's vendor. So it's completely the opposite way around to how a tech-orientated firm should be. So what you should look for is a company that's using a vendor-agnostic, exchange-agnostic, multi-asset platform that's back-end first rather than front-end first, allows you to go your own way with the support of that brokerage behind you that won't tie you into any liquidity contracts, won't restrict you to where you operate, won't restrict the type of front end you use, won't restrict which types of clients, in which region you bring on board, and where you can structure yourself as you want. You might start out at the moment, you might be looking for a white label because you don't want to pay the cost, but you might be very successful, at which point you might want to develop your own apps and your own front-end third-party apps, or you might want to be on TradingView. And for them to turn around and say, oh, well, our vendor has got a conflict of interest with TradingView, so you can't do that. Oh, well, I'm coming to you for the contract. Yes, but our vendor doesn't make any sense. No other software industry in the world works like that to me. That's my opinion. It's opinionated, but it seems to be not the right way to start out in the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, it's like you need to understand what the white label solution provider is really responsible for, what is in-house, what is outsourced, and then you make comparison, and then you understand which fits you better. So it's like no rocket science, quite simple, but those are for me kind of basic things, fundamental.
So if you're a trader want to start a broker, I would say just go through the whole thing, not just become a trader and start a broker, but go through the whole thing, whole journey, experience the whole, become an affiliate first, for example. Try to sell the service first. And then when you know all the pieces and you understand as much as possible, go to the conference like this one, talk to all the providers, see what it requires, ask why, and then when you know a lot about a lot, then you're maybe ready. And then you know you need the regulation, you need the funds to start one, and then ask yourself, what will a trader never say no to? They'll never say no to more money, faster, with less work. And how can you get as close as possible to that and try to adjust everything slowly to that. And don't skip the steps. See what's the next problem. Don't solve the 10th problem. Solve just the next one, and that's it.
And then fail twice, and third time will be okay.
Yeah. Fail before you start a broker. Many times. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.